the fate.
This is the way. Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Tells me when you'll remember this.
Hello, critics, non-critics, and friends. Welcome to the Film Optix podcast, where we take a glance into comic book movies, blockbusters, indie films, and everything in between. I'm your host, Christian, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Devin, and today we're going to be taking another trip back to Green Hills to talk about Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the movie. It feels very weird that we're actually here, Devin. I'm not going to lie, just because, we reviewed the first episode on the podcast when it first came out, and not a lot of people had a lot of faith in Sonic the Hedgehog due to the appearance of Sonic itself. And we've, since have seen that backtrack from the studio altogether. And it's crazy that we're here. How are you feeling on this fine Thursday?
It really is crazy that we're here because that first trailer for the first movie just had the entire internet set ablaze from how bad that design was. And for the first time, and it felt like forever, the studio actually fixed it and went in and made it better. Definitely a big win for the internet there. Yeah,
it really, really was. And I was very happy to even see the creator of Sonic who weighed in on Sonic's original appearance. And he's like, that's not Sonic, like, at all. And wow. Like,
it's not even Sonic.
It's not even Sonic. It was Blanick. I don't know, whatever you want to call him. But yeah, like you said, Devin, the internet did not take that so lightly. But I really appreciate how the studio actually listened to feedback. And now here we are, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, possibly getting another movie. We'll see. But man, there is just so much to talk about with this movie. But first, Devin, have you been watching anything as of late? Are you just still kind of
last night I watched The Bubble, that Judd Apatow April Fool's movie.
How was that?
It was rough. Cliff P6, remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
It had a lot of stars, but just not funny and way too long.
Yeah.
2-hour comedy.
A comedy needs to be no longer than like an hour and a half, maybe like an hour 25, like that. I feel like that is the sweet spot for comedies. But yeah, for me on my end, I have been rewatching the Star Wars movies. I have like 6 more films left. I finished the original trilogy, finished the prequel trilogy, and so I'm going to do the sequel trilogy, and then Rogue One, which has been trending on Twitter as of this recording for some odd reason, and even Mr. James Gunn weighed in on it, saying that it's the most underrated everything Star Wars, like anything in general.
I have to agree.
I would have to agree as well, because I've slowly but surely warmed up to that movie.
I think I remember you being not a fan earlier.
I was not. And then I started, like, I watched it and then I watched it again and I was like,
that Darth Vader's hallway scene.
Absolutely.
Peak Star Wars.
It was. And I was like, perhaps I judged you too harshly. So, hey, opinions change, it happens with a lot of things. I feel like some people kind of, take others' opinions set in stone, but like I said, opinions change as you get older. Sometimes it takes a few viewings to appreciate a certain movie that you weren't super crazy about before, and that's definitely happened with me. And it's even happened with movies that I thought that I really liked, and I was like, you know what, this isn't as great as I when I first watched it, and it kind of just falters off. But for me, I haven't really been watching too much outside of, like I said, for Star Wars. I need to start Bridgerton season 2, but I also need to start Attack on Titan as well. I got to catch up on that. So much to catch up on. So little time. All right. So Devin, are you ready to take another trip back into Green Hills?
Gotta go fast.
Rolling around through the speed of sound. God, I love that song. It's such an iconic Sonic song. If you haven't played Sonic Adventure 2, City Escape, first level of the entire game. It'll blow your socks off. It'll put you in like a really, really great mood. I absolutely love it. So without further ado, we'll be right back after this introduction to Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Hope I'm not too late.
I'm sorry, who are you?
Name's Tails.
Okay, this is what we're gonna do. Step 1, light taunting. Step 2, I have no idea. That wasn't too bad.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and we are back with our Sonic the Hedgehog 2 review, and this is how it's going to break down for all you guys out there. Of course, if you're new here, this is usually how we go about with our review episodes. We usually hit our initial reactions, which includes our non-spoilers. And then once you hit this little bad boy, that means we're going to be getting into spoilers. Then we'll hit nice little Easter eggs, which this movie has plenty of. Then we'll get into final thoughts and close out with ratings. So Devin actually went last for our Moon Knight episode 2 review. So I'm going to go first and give my initial reactions. But before I do, I want to give you guys a little bit of information about this film. So the story is as follows. When the manic Dr. Robotnik returns to Earth with a new ally, Knuckles the Echidna, Sonic and his new friends Tails is all that stands in their way, which again, that's a very, very basic synopsis here, but this is directed by Jeff Fowler and writers include Pat Casey, Josh Miller, and John Whittington, and stars Ben Schwartz, Idris Elba, Colleen O'Shaughnessy, and Jim Carrey, just to name a few. I'm not sure if you know this, Devin, but Colleen O'Shaughnessy actually is she's been voicing Tails since 2014.
Yeah, I did not know it was a female voice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, I've played Sonic, but I'm not like deep into the Sonic lore. And I did think that Tails was a female in this movie because of the voice. And then towards the end, they're like, yeah, he came all this way. He's my best friend now. I was like, oh, it's a dude. Cool.
So I have a little bit of trivia here for you, Devin. Do you know what Tails' full name is?
I did hear them say it, and then I was looking at IMDb, miles per hour. It's like a play on miles per hour.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, miles Tails per hour. Yes.
But I was like, oh, it's just a cool lady showing up for Sonic, and then
that is really. I did not. You know what?
I mean, it's definitely a female voice. Like,
yeah,
feels like it's not changed that much. Just kind of, it's like the Ash Ketchum thing where.
Oh yeah,
or even Timmy Turner.
Timmy. Ash Ketchum. When it comes to even the American voice actor for Ash, even for Naruto, the American voice actor for Goku for Japanese is also a female. There's a lot of female voice actors that voice even Phil and Lil from and Tommy Pickles. That's all.
And her name was Tara Strong.
Tara Strong. I'm so sorry. It's such an easy name to remember. And I was like, I picture her face. I know who she is. And then the name just escaped me, but I do apologize. But yes, Miles is a boy.
Yeah. I mean, I guess when it comes to a fox, there aren't that many features to like discern gender, so I just thought it was a female fox.
I mean, honestly, fair enough. And thinking about it from like trying to put myself in a mindset that no one knew, or like in your mindset, I could definitely see people thinking that Miles or Tails is a female.
Because it pretty much is just a straight up female voice.
Yeah, it really, really is. But yeah, Tails has always been one of my favorite characters. You know, he plays a predominant role, and man, oh man, I love it. I love it so much. So I'm going to get into my initial thoughts here. Just as you guys have noticed already, I loved this movie. I would probably go as far to say like this is. The first movie, we didn't really expect too much from it. It was an okay story, but obviously between Ben Schwartz voicing Sonic, which he does a fantastic job, it just works. And
pretty much is the voice of Sonic now, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. And there's been multiple voices for Tails as well, Knuckles and whatnot. But Ben Schwartz really kills it here, and it's just his voice just blends into the character, and they become one, which is what I really, really love. And just the references in this movie. This is how you make a sequel to a video game movie. Sonic has always told stories with human characters, whether it be from the video games or other TV shows. It has happened before, so this isn't anything new, but it is a huge step up from the first movie, because I don't think they expected the first movie to do so well. And of course, with the chemistry between Ben Schwartz and Jim Carrey in that first movie, that's really what saved it, at least for me.
Jim Carrey kept it from being just a complete flop. He
was just having so much fun in the first movie, and he's back. He's better than ever. He is just, it's like he never left. And
he actually looks more so like Dr. Robotnik now. He just needs to put on a few pounds, but he's got the face and hair right now.
Yeah. So like Dr. Robotnik was like the original, that is Eggman, but then they kind of revamped him, even as the video game series kind of went on. So now he is just kind of known as Dr. Eggman, with his sleek little jacket and whatnot. But it's, it was Dr. Robotnik, but it's kind of interchangeable depending on who you ask. But like I said, the story was actually way more solid in this film than it was the original. It's all about family, especially with friends, making new friends and, finding out who you are and kind of just identifying the important people in your life and keeping them close and, being there for each other. You've got each other's backs. And then of course, Idris Elba as Knuckles the Echidna.
That also took the internet by storm.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was going to work. I will say, usually Knuckles has always been, he's not like a huge dunce. Like he's a bit of a ditz, but I feel like for this one, especially like with the Sonic Boom TV show, they made Knuckles just like a flat out like idiot there. Like he isn't as smart.
They showed some of that towards the end. Like,
yeah,
the last scene, he has a lot of jokes.
Yeah, he really does. But like he really is coming into his own character. I think Idris Elba killed it. It was interesting to see them pick Idris for this, and I'm like, oh, like how is that going to work? I wasn't like put off with the idea, but I wanted to see how I was going to. But like, his voice, he sounds like this.
Pretty perfect.
It's very perfect. And especially, with Idris Elba from The Harder They Fall, being in that like American Western, we didn't really know how that was going to work out. And it just did.
There was also a nice Fast and Furious joke they threw in there. Speaking of Idris Elba,
there was way more than that. I mean, even we'll get into it when it comes to spoilers. I have so much to say about this, but overall,
I had to look up what a Echidna was. They're interesting little fellas.
Just to let everyone know, obviously, Sonic is a hedgehog. Looks nothing really like a hedgehog if you've ever seen one. They're
the only one that looks even a little accurate is Tails as a fox.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's Tails. Yeah, it's a fox with two tails.
Apparently, echidnas are also known as spicy anteaters.
Yes, they are.
So spicy. Knuckles is spicy.
Knuckles looks literally nothing like an actual echidna, which is very, very funny. Because when I was growing up, I mean, I used to play, Sonic Adventure 2 on my cousin's Dreamcast. Then later on the GameCube. I mean, Sonic has always been a part of my life, and the games as of recently has faltered a little bit outside of Sonic Mania, which is really, really good. But, entering into a new medium for movies, I think this works so well. There's so many Easter eggs that Sonic fans will go insane for. Of course, as we've seen from the first movie, Sonic has his nice little chili dog and whatnot, but there's just so much here. It feels like a video game movie. It feels like an original story, and like there is a lore to like for the Chaos Emeralds and the Master Emeralds, but it really just it just works. It feels as if they were they just made this original story for Sonic and just added Sonic characters around it, because even with the lore from Knuckles, it's all there. I was very surprised to see that in this film, and it's great. I mean, and Miles Tails prowess, sorry, I'll just call it Tails. I think I really just wanted to take care of Tails like the entire movie. He was so amazing. But I'm going to shut up now, and I'm going to pass it over to Devin, because I've been gushing over here for a while. Devin, what are your initial thoughts on Sonic the Hedgehog 2?
Well, first, I would like you to look in our Discord. I posted a picture of a cute little echidna. And it actually does have like prominent knuckles. Like you can see where they got the design from. Because it has like pretty beefy knuckles.
Do you know where they got the design for Sonic? You'll never guess.
I think I've heard it, but I don't know.
So Sega wanted Sonic to be like a 90s icon, and his design was intended to embody the spirit of 1991, because of like his, cool attitude, his rebellious type streak. But the team took inspiration from two cool people, Michael Jackson and Madonna, as well as future president at the time, Bill Clinton.
Yikes. About as 90s as it gets.
Yeah, as 90s as it definitely gets. And, there's a lot of pictures out there of Sonic, with the Michael Jackson hat on. But yeah, Echidnas, yeah, I could definitely see, and I can see that here now. It's very, it's so funny just to see that. And I can definitely see how they got the, the little spikes there. But it's funny how, they're able, this is an echidna, this is a hedgehog, even though like they are cartoonized versions, but they look nothing like their real life counterparts, which is hilarious. But it's like, oh yeah, that's a hedgehog. But Devin, I do apologize. Continue with your initial reactions.
Yeah, I'm going to continue with the praise that you started, because it definitely had a great time with this one. Definitely a lot better than the first one for me. I just remember, I don't even remember that much from the first one. I just remember there was really, really bad product placement, and there was just way too much James Marsden. That's what I remember from the first one. But yeah, I mean, that issue still is kind of here for the second one. Just, I feel like there's just too many parts with the humans that I don't care about. Because as soon as you take Sonic and his friends away, it's like, that's all the excitement. And then the movie just kind of comes to a halt. But speaking of his friends, I mean, the addition of Tails and Knuckles is just such a burst of energy from the movie, especially coming from the first one, where you just were kind of relying on Sonic, like kind of figuring out himself and Earth, and it just kind of took a while to develop. This one kind of gets right into it. I love the first scene where he stops the bank robbers and disassembles an entire car before it hits the ice cream kid. But yeah, I love Tails and Knuckles. They really added a lot to the story. They made it more colorful, obviously. Get some new red and yellow in there to go with Sonic's blue. Maybe some gold later on. And maybe even some black. We'll see.
Yeah, definitely, man. And again, I think I do agree with you on the point where, it's kind of always going to be the faults when it comes to these types of movies where, obviously with Pokemon, I feel like kind of have the same issue, with the human characters. It just never really is that interesting. And of course, everyone's there for Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles and the rest of the, Sonic character gang. And I will say, though, I think the human involvement in this movie was a step up because of what they were able to do with the story, because, it's the entire story so far, at least for the second Sonic movie, James Marsden and his wife and Sonic are kind of separate. They go on a little trip, and that's where all the craziness happens with Sonic and Dr. Eggman and Knuckles. And I actually felt bad for Knuckles for a little bit there. He was the lore that they were able to put into this. I can't remember for the life of me if owls were ever like a main character.
Yeah, I remember we talked about that the first movie, because neither of us knew where that came from.
But it works. I mean, like it's small little things and now I kind of want to go back and watch the first Sonic movie to see if those things actually line up. I mean, they probably do, but the way that they were able to link Sonic and Knuckles together for Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which ironically in the original video games, that is when Knuckles comes into the mix. So it's crazy. And then they have a separate game called Sonic and Knuckles. I used to play a lot on my parents' PC.
Yeah, I was reading into it, and I saw that this plot is pretty similar to Sonic Adventures 2, I believe, where Robotnik and Knuckles team up, and Robotnik's just using Knuckles, and that's how it works out.
Yeah. Sonic Adventure 2, I would say, is probably my favorite Sonic game. I mean, it's funny because every single time I play it, the lip movement of the characters and the American voice actors never ever like match up, and it's the funniest thing ever. But it's like part of the charm. But yes, this does very it feels like Sonic the Hedgehog 2, obviously, you know, like introducing Knuckles, but it does draw a lot from Sonic Adventure 2 as well, and a little bit from Sonic Adventure as we'll get into. But Devin, are you ready to get into spoilers? Because I feel like we've been talking about this for a while. I just can't wait to talk about it. All right, ladies and gentlemen,
movie that actually has spoilers.
This will be it's been the first movie for a while that we can actually.
Uncharted, Morbius, been a rough couple
non-spoiler movies,
new releases out here.
I mean, I guess Morbius had like a smidge spoiler, but it wasn't really much of a spoiler, was it? All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is your first spoiler warning for Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Again, that is your second spoiler warning for Sonic the Hedgehog 2. So if you haven't seen it, definitely go watch it. Since this is actually going up on as of Friday, the day that it actually comes out, you know, definitely go watch it. If you are a Sonic fan, you will love this movie. I promise you. So Devin, I don't even know where to begin, but I gotta say, I called the post-credit scene because I knew they were going to introduce somebody.
Yeah, it's just the natural conclusion here. Just got to bring in your boy Shadow.
But I actually think they were going. So I had two characters. It was either Shadow that they were going to introduce or Metal Sonic, because a lot of people love Metal Sonic. Like, he's very.
I feel like Shadow's just way too iconic, though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I was wondering, I'm like, okay, like, is this just going to be a trilogy? We don't really know. So I was like, all right, well, maybe it's going to be one of the two. I was pulling for Shadow more so. And it, as soon as he said, it was, you know, towards the end of the movie, Dr. Robotnik or Dr. Eggman is defeated. And, you know, they were talking about like a special project that was like, no way. I was
And Sonic called Knuckles Winter Soldier. Wait till you sees this guy.
Yeah.
That's a Winter Soldier.
That is your Winter Soldier. Have you played Sonic Adventure 2?
I mean, probably like when I was a kid, but I don't remember.
It actually is. I mean, the story draws on a little bit, but like when it comes to Shadow and Sonic, in the video game, Shadow gets mistaken for Sonic because they're like, oh, it's a hedgehog, it's Sonic. Clearly, it's not him. It is the black and red hedgehog with booster like shoes, like rocket shoes. So, but I'm really interested to see where they go with that. But I'm very excited that Shadow, because I mean, honestly, I think Shadow is actually more popular than Sonic when it comes to a lot of things. I was watching a lot of the junket interviews between Idris Elba and Ben Schwartz. So, and they were kind of talking about like who the most popular characters are, and Shadow kept bringing up. I was like, yeah.
Who are they going to get to voice him? That's the question.
So I was talking to Amanda over from AMX NDA Reviews and Leo over from Geekly Goods, and they were talking about Keanu Reeves.
That's never a bad idea.
Honestly, and I was telling them, I'm like, honestly, I would love to see who it's going to be. Like, as long as it fits Shadow, because they've done such a great job so far with every single character. But I mean, there's just so many characters they can introduce. Like, if we're getting Shadow, we might get Rouge as well, because she is kind of tied into Dr. Eggman and kind of falters on the side of Shadow as well.
Get an actual female character. Tails is not one of those.
Yeah, there's Tails. There's Cream. She's a bunny. There's Amy Rose, which is Sonic's unofficial but not official girlfriend, but she always pines over him, but he never gets her the light of day when it comes to that stuff. Metal Sonic, there's just so much they can do with this, and
we got a gold Sonic / Supersonic appearance in this one too. That got a big crowd reaction in my theater,
dude. Okay, right now, if we got Supersonic, if we get Hyper Shadow, I will lose it, because that is like the Supersonic version of Shadows. Oh my gosh, I will lose it. But there's so many awesome characters that they could dive into here, especially.
They killed that design, by the way. The gold.
Yeah, the gold
and the red eyes.
Because at first, because that is who Supersonic is, and at first, you know, when the robot kind of like slams down on him, like you see Sonic kind of stand up, and it's just like gold Sonic. I was like, okay, like, but his spikes are supposed to kind of be like up, kind of like Super Saiyan-esque, and then he kind of rises. I was like,
This boy can fly.
Oh, he flies. And then, like, you know, he because I mean, everything with the lore, with Knuckles and his tribe, because Knuckles is, I mean, they changed a few things, because Sonic isn't like necessarily the defender of the Master Emerald, that actually kind of more so falls with Knuckles. But I think tying, you know, the war between the Echidnas and the Owls together, and, you know, obviously Sonic being raised by the Owls kind of makes him one of their own. So I mean, they do guard the the Chaos Emeralds, but it is more so Knuckles who is destined to guard the Master Emerald. But I didn't think they're going to go that much into the lore. Like, I was blown away.
And I love how they end up teaming up at the end. I mean, it seems it's pretty obvious from the beginning that's what's going to happen, but it just brings so much more to that final fight. With I'm going to call it now. I'm calling him Magneto. Magneto, Eggman. That's what I'm calling that villain. Magneto, Eggman with the chaos in him. That's Magneto.
I'm telling you with Sonic the Hedgehog 3, we need to get a chaos control moment here with Shadow, because that is his thing. That is his signature move. Chaos control. It's controlling the power of one of the Chaos Emeralds, slowing down time. That Shadow's thing, like 100%.
Perfect weakness for Sonic.
Yeah, a very, very perfect weakness for Sonic. Oh my gosh, like, now that this door has been open, like, I mean, since we've gotten two so far, how many would you like to see them continue with it? So you think it should just be a trilogy, wrap it up, and then call it a day, and kind of just, you know, end on a high note? Or do you think they should make it into like I guess you can call it forquel in a way? I don't really know what.
Well, they're doing a really good job of world building, because obviously the first one definitely had its issues, but it's all about Sonic for the most part, and too much James Marsden, but neither here nor there. And then this one, they bring in Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails as a great trio going forward. A nice team, nice family. He's got his buddies now. And then going forward, we're going to see Shadow, obviously.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I would be a little worried, because you're getting into obviously lesser known characters for the audience that you're trying to get, because most people know Shadow and Knuckles and Tails. Those are the main side characters.
And Amy, I would throw Amy in there as well. For characters like Cream and Team Chowtix, I think that's more lesser known. Even Silver is also another, like it's a Silver Hedgehog. He made his appearance, I believe it was in 2006 Sonic the Hedgehog, the one that everybody hates. Ooh, Lord, that was a bad video game. But Silver is ranked a little bit lower as well, but he's kind of like an edgelord. He has like more of the psychedelic powers there, but I mean, Cream could go into it a little bit, but she's also, I'd say she's like maybe 50-50. There are a lot of Sonic characters they could go into, but I do agree. I feel like they need to, I mean, there's other Echidnas out there as well.
Before we even get that far into it, we have to figure out whether or not Jim Carrey's coming back, because there's just all this talk of him like retiring from acting, and they've already said that if he retires, they're not replacing him.
Correct.
Like, he is Eggman. They're not going to try to replace him.
Yeah.
So if that happens, it's interesting to see where they go, because obviously Shadow could step in and be the main villain, but I feel like Jim Carrey's such a big part of it, it'll be hard to fill.
And I do agree with it. I feel like if they don't, because Shadow, not only that's a really good point that you brought that up, because Shadow, and I don't want to like give it away. Like if you play Sonic Adventure 2, but Shadow has a very strong tie to Dr. Eggman's family tree type situation.
Yeah, because in the movie, even the movie, they said that they've had a reading on him from 50 years ago.
Yeah,
that's how long he's been around.
It's okay. So like, I don't know how they're gonna do this they probably will do this in the movie, but Shadow is like he's a project that Dr. Eggman's like his great grandfather's grandfather had worked on, and not knowing who Sonic was, but that's kind of like the tie, but I don't want to get too much into it for people out there who have probably not played the games, but that he's a very strong tie to Dr. Robotnik's family there. So I do agree though. It is going to be weird. Like if you are going to introduce Shadow, like you kind of have to have Robotnik or Eggman back because of that connection. And I was actually interested to see that if they were going to introduce Chaos, which is a different type of character, kind of like a living, breathing organism that feeds on the Chaos Emeralds from the first Sonic game. But there, like we said before, there's so many characters, and I do agree, you don't want to get too much into the weeds where like there are a lot of Sonic characters. There's a lot of them.
What I'm wondering, what I'm also curious about is if we get kind of because before the movie starts, there's the Sega, like they show a bunch of their different games. I wonder if they're going to try to form some kind of Sega-verse.
Yeah, that would be pretty interesting. I mean, Sonic
they have a lot of games.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, Sonic has always been like the forefront of Sega since its inception. I mean, like they have so many other games as well. I mean, they used to be really big into the console space, but they kind of have taken more of the back seat, and now they're just more of a third party developer. But they still have their lineup of characters. But Sonic is definitely one of them. So it's kind of crazy to think about, everything that Sega owns. And I mean, if they want to get into other properties, I think they could. I think Sonic is a really great jumping off point. And I mean, I'm hoping that they kind of just go from there. They're just the Easter eggs were just insane. Like even when it's Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails fighting against Eggman, I really got the Sonic hero vibes. Like it's not all there, but when
I love seeing the red, yellow, and blue speed trails. You're off. Because
like newsflash, everyone who doesn't know, everyone in the Sonic universe is fast in a way, but Sonic is the fastest. The only person who probably could rival that would be Shadow, or Metal Sonic as well, but. It really gave me like the Sonic hero vibes, especially like when Sonic rolls up into a ball and then Knuckles is like throwing them like kind of like a basketball or like a dodgeball. Like that's very Sonic hero vibes. I thought for a second that because Tails can also roll up into a ball. For a moment there, I thought Knuckles was going to grab Tails and Sonic in their ball form and kind of like hold them in his hands and use them as like a punching bag, because that's what happens in Sonic Heroes. I was like, if they go that far, I was gonna lose it. But we kind of got a little bit of that there as well. And of course, after Sonic becoming Super Sonic, the first thing he does after defeating Eggman was summon an almighty chili god. Chili dog.
Nice fake out. You didn't hear his voice until after. You're like, is he possessed?
No. I knew he wasn't
by
possessed.
Power.
Yeah, I knew he wasn't possessed, but Knuckles is like the Sonic you once knew is now gone. And he just points his finger up in the air, summons like this almighty chili dog, and he's like, Knuckles, you got to try this. And he's like, nope. Yeah, still the same guy. But I really like how they gave Nuggles backstory. Idris Elba did a fantastic job. I have one small little gripe outside of the human characters, which I thought that wedding crash was hilarious. I was like, okay, I mean, it's hokey, but it was still,
Yeah, I think
it was still pretty
I
funny.
definitely had an issue with the wedding scene. It just felt like the movie just stopped when the wedding stuff started happening. Like it just comes to a halt.
Like when Sonic comes to Hawaii type thing.
Like even before that, there's like a 5-minute scene like leading up to that.
Oh yeah, I mean that was whatever. I was talking about
Like
when
they're
Sonic,
playing volleyball, and it's like I do not care about.
Yeah, I didn't care about that.
They're secret FBI agents. It's like that was kind of funny, but like
that actually threw me off guard for a second. But I'm talking about when Sonic and Tails crashed the party. That was hilarious. For a second.
but then they just kind of get taken away, and then the humans are doing stuff, and that's when I took a bathroom break because I was like, all right, this is just human stuff. I'm good to go.
Yeah, and then they did the little rescue mission. I was like, that I could have dealt without. But so even with Knuckles, like, we see him climbing up the wall, like small little moments like that. But we did not see Knuckles glide. He doesn't fly, but he glides. That's the only thing we did not see. When he fell off of the plane, which is also like another iconic thing when Sonic standing on the top, when he kind of like skydives off, I thought he was gonna kind of like come back up and like start gliding. I was like, damn, we didn't see him glide, but that's okay. That maybe for Sonic 3, because he just kind of all the way, yeah. But
we also got our first mention of Gotta Go Fast.
Yeah. And the worst.
I was going to mention that the Jean Ralphio like little Easter egg was perfect.
I'm surprised he didn't do that in the first one, but I'm really glad he did that. I mean, the Winter Soldier.
Apparently they had 2 Jean Ralphio jokes, but they had to cut one of them.
Oh, did they? Oh man, yeah. Especially for kids, you gotta. Yeah. I totally get it though. I totally get it. But enough gushing about this movie. We've been talking about it here for a bit. Let's get into our initial, or not, excuse me. Let's get into our final thoughts and our ratings here. So I'll pass it over to Devin if he has anything else that he wants to say. Then I'll kind of close this on out and we'll get on out of here.
Yeah, I think definitely a big improvement for me over the first one. I don't remember the scores we gave the first one, but I was definitely pretty low on it just because just didn't really do it for me. But this one's a big improvement. I will say another small issue I had was there's just a lot of jokes from Robotnik that didn't really work. There was a flossing joke, which that one hurt my eyes.
The needle jobs were pretty nice though.
There's also a weird like Trump joke at the end where he said, "There's bad guys on both sides," like a direct reference to Trump.
I didn't even notice that. I'll have to watch it again. I mean, I'm definitely watching this again, but yeah.
But other than a few pretty rough jokes, and then like I mentioned before, the human element, which continued to fall flat. It was less so in the first movie. Like there's less scenes of just humans than the first one, but still the scenes where it is only humans, it just really slows down the movie. Which is not what you want from Sonic. You want to go fast. Yeah. Because this movie is 2 hours. Like, so if you cut out all the human parts, you could still have an 1.5 hour movie.
Yeah, you could.
It'd be great.
Yeah, and that's how. And I feel like that was always an issue with the Sonic X series. A lot of human characters. I think the main character's name was Chris. We kind of like find Sonic. Like the introduction to Sonic in that series is actually pretty awesome. But yeah, even when watching that like series as a kid, it's like if it's not Dr. Robotnik or Dr. Eggman, whoever you peg him as, it's the human characters have always been like the weakest part. Even in like the other Sonic games for like in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, there were human characters. Like Sonic meets like the president. He like crashes his limo, which is crazy. But there's not as many human characters. It is mainly just about, the Sonic core characters there outside of Dr. Eggman and Maria. But I won't get into that. But yeah, I do agree with you there. What would you give this for your score rating?
Yeah, I don't remember my exact score for the first one, but it's probably around like a 50. Like really not great. But this one definitely gets a big boost. I think I'd give it around like a 75, somewhere around there. Just really enjoyable movie. Had its issues, but definitely improved upon the first one and fixed some of the human issues, but still just not great there. Other than that, Ben Schwartz is amazing. He is Sonic at this point. Jim Carrey is still great, doing his animated voices. A lot of Grinch energy in this one with the movements and the faces.
Yeah. So for me, I would give this like a solid, like, I give it like a, okay. As a Sonic fan, I'm giving this like a 90, like 100%. But as a critic, I would give it about like, maybe like a 75, 77. Just because of, like you said, there are a lot of human moments in this, and that wasn't super interesting if it wasn't like, Dr. Robotnik's like henchman or the town deputy. I didn't really care about any of the others. But on Rotten Tomatoes, audience score right now sitting at 99%. I mean, it is by far the best video game movie I've seen in a very long time.
Yeah, it's the Thursday release. It's going to be mostly hardcore Sonic fans seeing it
for sure. Tomato meter for critics is sitting around a 66, so I think like giving it like a 77. Critic wise, as a critic would be it's really good. But like, I mean, I don't even care. Like as a Sonic fan, I freaking love it. I freaking love it. And also, just a really quick shout out to one of the best video game movie posters when they kind of recreate the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 video game poster with Dr. Robotnik's hand like kind of on the 2. Knuckles isn't in the shadow of like the original poster, but I like that touch, and it looks great. Like I was like, wow, they really have been paying attention to detail. This is what a video game movie should be. Something that is, it's its own story. It can take elements from the video games. You can slip that kind of stuff in there, and it kind of just works all together. It doesn't need to be a beat for beat.
And they add in their own things. Like it doesn't have to be completely accurate to the games. Like they add in the owls. They add in. I don't think the rings
portals
work like they do in the movie. Yeah, the portals.
Yeah, they're not. No, not they don't work that way. But yeah,
the portals bring a great aspect to the movies. Just giving him a way to get from here to there.
Yeah, and then that's what I really really like about it. And it's, I think any Sonic fan, any kid should go see this. Anyone who wants to have a good time at the theaters, and just if you're a Sonic fan, you're definitely gonna love this. So that pretty much concludes our episode here of Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I just had a blast with this one for sure. But let's close on out here. So what is coming up on the podcast, you might ask? So as of right now, our Moon Knight episode 1 and 2 review are out on the podcast for everyone to listen to, as well as our Morbius review as well. And if you want to check out our original Sonic the Hedgehog review, I will actually put a link to that specific review in the episode notes of this one for those who want to check it out. It's just more of our early days in the podcast, 2020, height of the pandemic there, but definitely check it out if you are interested. And we also have our Everything Everywhere All at Once review that's going to be dropping on the podcast. I believe we're going to be hitting that one. That one's going to be dropping on Monday, April 11th. So that one I'm very excited for as well. And as always, it's only one thing we really ask for you guys out there is to share an episode with a friend, whether it be your mother, your brother, your lover, whoever it may be. Make sure to share an episode of the Film Optix podcast with a movie lover in need. So with that out of the way, we hope you guys have a great weekend, and we will see you guys in the next one. And that's a wrap for today. Thank you all for listening. And if you enjoy the show, leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And follow us on Twitter and Instagram to stay in the know. That was Devin. My name is Christian, and we'll see you guys in Green Hills.